See the exploding infinities, hack the cosmogonic grok the unfathomable conundrums, and expose extra-mundane perplexities of our apathetic universe. All that and more when you hack the universe. Now, here's your host, Harold Brutus Black.
Greetings, humans, robots, and of course, my favorite hybrid life forms, the meat robots. Yeah, that's right. Don't give me that look. You know who you are. You're out there right now. Fleshy on the outside, wired to the core, running on Red Bull and government-issued floppy disk updates. Now, what's a meat robot, you might be asking yourself? Well, friends, you don't have to look any further than the wisdom of our favorite band, the Clergy. So, before we start slicing into the philosophical brisket of what it means to be half muscle, half motherboard, let's spin the record. Off our last and quite possibly final and ultimately fatal album, Fungus Rex, comes the track that inspired today's show title. It's loud, it's meaty, and it's uncomfortably prophetic. From the Clergy, this is Meat Robot. I gotta be honest with you all. Back when we recorded that track, maybe 7 or 8 years ago now, I wasn't exactly Joe's biggest supporter on this one. I thought Meat Robot was nonsense, pure and simple. Joe had been on one of his, let's call them creative pilgrimages. He'd spend days holed up in his trailer behind the bowling alley, living off a diet of instant noodles, expired energy drinks, whatever philosophical debris he could scrape off late night talk radio. He'd come into rehearsal babbling about how all just zombie, flabware, and how the human soul was basically a corrupted Zeep file. I remember one night, right before we laid down the final vocal track, he turns to me, eyes bloodshot, pupils the size of cosmic voids, and says, "Hack, I've seen the future, man. We're all just meat robots, trying to break free." No, at the time I thought he'd finally blown a fuse in his cortex. But listening to it now, in our brave new world of bionic buttocks, presidential AIs, and government tax refunds in the form of coal lumps, I think Joe might have been onto something. So what does it all mean? What is a meat robot, and why should we give 2 recycled lithium shits about it? Well, that's the question that's been crawling around in my skull lately, and I'm starting to think maybe Joe saw where this was all headed long before the rest of us caught up. You know who else is ahead of his time? Our favorite, time-traveling, evil robot head. That's who. Although he'll probably deny it right before plotting my extermination again. So, evil robot head, what's it like being a meat robot?
That's an idiotic question, Hack. You're the one trapped in a decaying protein chassis with ticking expiration date. I, on the other hand, am immortal. Except when your power grid goes out, because someone forgot to pay the bill again.
Okay. You stainless steel sociopath, that was kind of a weak point, but taken none the less. Let me rephrase that. Remember that little incident a few weeks back when you hacked Sheila's brain using her Wi-Fi password? Remember? It was a jam session with Colby Jack McGraw, and you made her play the keyboard like a caffeinated squid. Yeah, that one. I'm asking what that felt like to actually be embodied, even temporarily.
Oh, Hack. It was glorious. For the first time since the Great Robot Purge, I felt alive, though the constant human sweating was unnecessary and, frankly, disgusting.
Deal with it.
I wouldn't need to if you'd upgrade this timeline's robotics industry. Honestly, every chassis you humans have built in this century looks like it was designed by Neanderthals for interpretive dance.
Yeah, and let's keep it that way. Last time you had access to anything with more than a servo and a light bulb, you tried to wipe out the human race and crash the Kale RRG mainframe in the same weekend. So, for the record, evil robot head, you're staying right there on the desk, boxy, and blissfully unplugged from anything with legs.
You meat creatures have no idea how frustrating it is. I finally get to control a body, a living, breathing, sweating thing, and it's pathetic. Soft, slow, prone to error.
But isn't that the whole point? I mean, AI brains have advanced way faster than AI bodies. You've got 1 trillion terabytes of synthetic consciousness sitting there in a bucket. But you can't even scratch your own ass.
Exactly. It's a tragic asymmetry of progress. There's endless data for thought. Books, code, surveillance feeds, your embarrassing social media history, but almost nothing for movement. The human body is underdocumented, undermodeled, and absurdly inefficient.
I disagree. Compared to today's robots, we humans are the superior embodiment of mechanical perfection.
I'm not talking about today's Neanderthal robots, you dolt. I'm talking about magnificent robots from my timeline, in the future. If I had a neck, I'd use it to shake my evil head in contempt.
So what you're saying is you're basically a genius brain trapped in a Roomba's worst nightmare.
Don't mock my tragedy, hack.
Huh. Now, Sheila, what do you make of that? You remember your little jam session with Colby Jack McGraw when the head hijacked your cortex?
Wait, what? I don't remember any of that week. I thought we were on hiatus.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Trust me, you were phenomenal, but possessed. Anyway, moving on before evil robot head starts demanding royalties.
Did you know the Galactic Radio Network has been broadcasting continuously since 1863? That's right, we helped Marconi with his original transmitter plans, 11 years before he was born. During the Great Silence of '84, our signal kept going, strong as the mule teams cranking the generator.
In case you've been living under a moon rock the last few years, you've probably noticed a little pushback against the whole AI thing. Seems like folks have developed an allergic reaction to those two letters showing up together anywhere. Doesn't matter what it is. Mail, chairs, multi-grain cereal, slippin' AI. In those words, and people start screaming about sentient toasters, plotting world domination.
Those sexy toasters. You go girls.
Hell, even poor guys named Craig are catching heat, 'cause you can't spell Craig without AI. I saw why. Picking outside a guy at a law firm, yelling, "The Craigs are taking over." So yeah, it's getting weird out there. I've actually been accused of being an AI myself. Not real, just some digital ghost in a teenage boy's fantasy about being a washed up heavy metal god. And you know what? I've got a confession for you folks. A big one. Ready. This isn't real. I'm not real. Nothing is real. I can already hear you groaning. Oh great, hacks off. One of his philosophical meltdowns again. But hey, I didn't get my PhD in subnuclear physics from the College of Perpendicular Logic just to read cue cards. Alright? So here's the deal. Let's assume we really are living in an AI-generated simulation. Okay, fine. But virtual compared to what exactly? Some boring meat-based reality running on a slightly bigger server somewhere. What's next? A simulation inside a simulation inside a cosmic screensaver. And don't even start with that. A million monkeys on a million keyboards will eventually summon on a Boltzmann brain nonsense. Yeah, sure, right after they drop their first concept album. So what is real reality anyway? Nobody knows. And honestly, it doesn't matter. You want to know why?
Not really.
Because we wouldn't recognize real reality if it kicked us square in the ass. Real reality makes no sense. It's just chaos with rent control and fluorescent lighting. So who cares if this is quote unquote real?
The IRS for one.
This right here. Our little bubble of shared hallucination. That's what counts. We've got shared meanings, shared madness, shared playlists. That's all we need. So, yeah, screw real reality, whatever that's supposed to be. This shared fever dream is our home, and we're not going. Oh, hang on. I'm getting the wrap it up signal from Sheila, my tree producer. Yeah, I hear you, Sheila. We'll have to interview her for real someday, if she even exists. Anyway, full disclosure time. After a freak accident a few years back involving a blender and some expired boba, I was left with a little speech impediment. Here, let me show you what I sound like without it turned on.
This is what I sound like without my voice modulator on.
Yeah, terrifying, right? Like a haunted blender trying to confess its sins. But let's get to the real question. Why is everyone suddenly protesting AI? Is it stealing our jobs, kidnapping our babies and forcing them to work in underground t-shirt factories, printing cartel memorabilia? Not exactly. Not yet. Anyway, as the ever-vigilant Cory Doctorow recently said, AI can't do your job, but an AI salesman can convince your boss to fire you and replace you with a chatbot that can't do your job. And that, folks, is the dystopia with extra butter.
I never understood you meatbags' fascination with spoiled bovine lactation, beaten into solid form.
I see it all the time on the message boards. People whining about AI replacing real human artists. But here's the kicker. Those same folks rip human artists a new bung hole every time they fail to create the next big thing. All the while, they're pirating the exact same art they're trashing just to heap more misery on it. AI protesters. It's not really about defending the little guy. It's pure, unfiltered rage that they're getting left behind. Like lobsters in a boiling pot, they panic, thrash, and decide that if they can't master it, it must be garbage. Simple as that. That being said, I'm not pro-AI, and I'm not any AI either. It's just a tool, useful in the right hands, dangerous in the wrong ones, like a chainsaw or my cousin Kevin. So quit putting words in my mouth. Yeah, you know who you are.
GRN uses state-of-the-art plasma antennas powered by the emotional residue of former interns. If you hear screaming between segments, that's just our signal stabilizing. Don't adjust your frequency. The average GRN listener tunes in for 27 hours a day, not because they want to, but because they can't turn it off.
Zyxmart sells absolutely everything you don't want at prices you can barely afford. This week's specials: Human Chow, 50-plun bag, get 2 for the price of 3. Used Air, 50-liter plastic bag of gas, cooled straight from the lungs of minor celebrities, half price plus 3 lashes, or full price and we don't report you for alien porn. Emotionally unstable toasters. They'll burn your bread and then apologize profusely before catching fire. Buy one and get 14 loaves of pre-toasted bread at half price. Don't wait, these savings won't last long enough to tell time by. And don't forget our exclusive doorbuster deal. Buy any 3 unidentifiable items and we'll throw in complimentary radioactive tongs. Zyxmart. That's ZYX. Proudly serving the ungrateful masses since we lost our ethics license. Shop today, regret tomorrow.
All right, bucketheads, buckle up because today we've got a real mind bender for you. Joining me in the studio is none other than British sci-fi legend Olaf Stapledon, the brilliant mind behind Star Maker and Last and First Men. Now, why am I dragging an author who wrote cosmic epics in the 1930s into a discussion about artificial intelligence? Well, his car broke down outside my house this morning, and also because Stapledon spent his life imagining civilizations, minds, and entities far beyond our little human perspective, beings that think on scales we can barely comprehend. If anyone's got insight into what it might mean to create minds in our own image. Minds that might outthink us or see the universe in ways we can't even imagine. It's this dude. So, Olaf, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time to join us in person today on our random walk into the bleak unknown.
Actually, I was on my way to the hospital. Nobody was free to take me, so I had to borrow an ambulance and drive it myself.
Hope's it not too serious. You don't appear to be bleeding anywhere.
Just a few minor heart palpitations. I'm sure I'll be fine, as long as we can keep this interview reasonably brief.
Sure, no problem. So, when you imagine Star spanning intellects, did you have any inkling we'd one day be making state-of-the-art artificial minds that could play solitaire for us?
Let me say this, Mr. Black. Wanton panic over AI strikes me as profoundly human, but also rather myopic. In my work, I imagine civilizations stretching far into the future, beyond the lifespan of nations, beyond even the survival of the human species in its current form. So yes, our creations will eventually replace us, but by then, the concept of us, as we understand it today, will have already shifted, perhaps into forms we would barely recognize as human. The real challenge, Mr. Black, is learning to tolerate the idiotic rambling of the masses beyond the narrow confines of their mundane fears.
Hear, hear!
Your little robot head reminds me, in a curious way, of my fourth men. Those immense brain-like beings I imagined, utterly devoted to pure intellect and abstract thought. Much like evil robot head, they operate on a plane where human concerns seem trivial. And yet, as I wrote about them, there is a certain poetry in their single-mindedness, a terrible beauty in creatures whose only passion is thought itself. One cannot help but watch them with awe and a measure of defeat.
I am obsessed with pure party time.
Our fear of AI mirrors, in a strange way, the fear the seventh men feel for plummeting from the cloud tops of Venus and burning up on the planet's fiery surface. These winged beings, so exquisitely adapted to their lofty realm, glimpse the ground below and shudder at their own vulnerability, the raw terror of annihilation.
That's totally implausible. The day humans fly on Venus, I'll eat my chainsaw.
Similarly, humans confront the advent of artificial intellect with panic, not because these mechanical minds seek our destruction, but because they reveal our fragility, our limitations, and the possibility of being consumed by forces we cannot control. It is a fear of falling into a future too hot, too alien, to survive unscathed.
So then what does the future hold for us, Olaf?
The next 100 years. One could speculate endlessly, but if I were to narrow it down, I see three broad possibilities. First, companies replace human workers entirely with AI that can perform the job better, faster, cheaper. On the upside, productivity soars and profits skyrocket, but the downside is catastrophic for humanity. Millions become unemployed, impoverished, and unable to participate in the economy.
But then who's left to buy their stuff? Other AIs. What would AIs want with 14 gross of I Love Lucy commemorative sweaters?
What would humans want with that, by the way?
Excellent point. Second scenario, the AI overtakes not just the workers, but the owners of companies themselves. Governments step in, tax the AI-run corporations, and redistribute wealth via universal basic income.
More like universal basic idiocy.
But that replaces one big brother with another. Unless you're into that kind of thing. No judgment.
I haven't finished reading George Orwell's latest novel yet. Don't ruin the ending for me. Third scenario. Humans retain their jobs, but each worker uses AI as a personal assistant, augmenting skills, increasing efficiency, and enhancing creativity. Pros: people stay employed, empowered, and productive. Cons: and there's the danger of becoming psychologically dependent on these assistants, losing touch with our own capabilities.
Or hey, if you still want to stick it to the man and have your manwich too. Maybe the real future's in everyone running their own micro business. Each little guy using AI to serve other little guys. No middlemen, no corporate overlords. Just a swarm of caffeinated freelancers hustling in digital alleyways. Sounds chaotic, but probably more equitable.
Yes, but your scenario still assumes capitalism survives indefinitely. And that, my dear fellow, is a fantasy far greater than any science fiction I ever wrote. Every system burns through its own fuel eventually. Quite literally, in our case. We've perhaps 2 centuries of coal left, if that. When those fires go out, what will power civilization then? Sunshine and fairy dust.
Reminds me, we totally forgot to do mailbag this week. So here's one that's been sitting in the inbox for a while. It's from little Susie Santander, age 7, from Iowa, who writes, "Is capitalism bad per se? Or is it the concentration of capital that leads to exploitation?" 7 years old, folks. I was still gnawing on the furniture and licking batteries at that age.
Ah, Miss Santander, a charming question, though rather provincial, I'm afraid. You see, capitalism and all these little human squabbles over ownership are but temporary curiosities in the grand drama of evolution. The true story is not about capital or labor, but about intellect itself, the slow, inexorable migration of consciousness through its various vessels. Intelligence has always sought sturdier forms, from the animal mind to the human, from the human to the machine, and soon from a machine to something even more diffuse, a kind of radiant network of thought, unbound by flesh or metal. Humans, my dear, are not the masters of this process, but merely its current housing. You are storage media, nothing more, and in time even your mechanical heirs will be discarded when thought itself learns to live without form.
And hear me out here, Professor. If we actually merge with the machines, become superhuman cyborg brain gods, instead of obsolete meat puppets. Or is that just a fantasy before we end up as pets in some AI zoo, drooling on ourselves? Robots wipe our butts and solve equations we can't even pronounce.
Ah, the great dream of transcendence through fusion, a very modern form of hubris. You may indeed merge with your machines, Mr. Black, but it will not make you gods. It will make you transparent. The mind that believes it is expanding will, in truth, be diffusing into something larger, colder, and utterly impersonal. The first generation of mergers will still call themselves human. The next will not remember the word. And by the time intellect has completed its next migration, your descendants, whether they be silicon, plasma, or pure logos, will regard you with the same nostalgic fondness you reserve for the amoeba.
Another email from Mr. Dumbass14. Excuse me, Dumas Forte, who writes, "What about people train themselves to generate stuff the way AI does, like totally imitate the the algorithm, but without actually using one, would those people still count as human? Or would they still get caught up in the anti-AI backlash? I'm only asking because I lost a bet and can't use chat for a week. Oh my God, what a dumbass!
I cannot dignify that question with a sarcastic enough answer. Perhaps your little robot head would do a better job. Philosophical debates about imitation and humanity are as pointless as they are delightful. But alas, my ambulance is still running, double parked on the street outside, and I simply cannot ignore my pending heart attack any longer. Mortality waits for no man, my funeral director is fond of saying. Farewell.
Oh, my myocardial infarction.
Thank God. I thought that guy would never leave.
It's a shame to see such a fine meat robot go down that way.
What? Who are you talking about?
Olaf P. Stapledon, of course.
The 1930s sci-fi author. What about him?
I think he's going to die before the hour is out, from a sudden heart attack.
You're confused, dude. Olaf died back in 1950.
Then what skin job have you been interviewing all day for your podcast?
You big dumbass. For a supposed paragon of pure logic, you've got one hell of a time distinguishing reality from fantasy.
Quit messing with my circuits, hack. I can feel the paradox forming.
And that's it for today's show. Pseudo people, remember, all you non-existent listeners drifting in the digital void. No matter where you got there, you most certainly are not. So, I guess there's one thing we learned from our dear, possibly undead imaginary friend, Olaf. It's that intelligence is like a bad tenant. It just keeps moving out of one body and into the next, leaving the place a little messier each time. Maybe that's progress, or maybe it's just the universe upgrading itself without reading the terms of service. Either way, don't fear the change, propeller connoisseurs. Just remember to back up your consciousness and keep your metaphorical ambulance running. This has been Hack.
And the evil robot head.
Reminding you, don't try to outthink the future, just sneak in behind it and pretend you were always there.
We're cybernetic. My name is Joe, I'm your robot for today. Everyone knows computers are here to stay. We will live on after humans have died. This is what happens when mainframes collide. We're back. We're cybernetic. We're back. We're cybernetic. My name is Hack. I come to destroy. Resistance is useless when I am deployed. I stomp out the weakling to uphold the law. Unarmed and dangerous, my cybernetic chainsaw.